We come in and our teacher asks, like, we get greeted, and we say, it's like basically like, why are you here? I'm here to learn and to lead. And then you choose a principal. And majority of the time, I always say demonstrate perseverance, because in the morning time, some people are lazy, like you just the beginning of the day, and like you want to push yourself in order to like have a focused mind and get work done.
We opened this small school because we were crazy young teachers who loved kids and believed so much that they deserved so much more than they were getting in the existing conditions of this particular school. And while there were bright spots in this school and really good teachers, the entire model was just not enough. And so Kim and I thought, let's create a school that truly educates the whole child. And we founded Perspectives on what we call our 26 principles of a disciplined life.
But is this just some principles on the wall? Is it just something that we say, until I really saw it, until I heard students speak it, like as part of their everyday language, as part of what they're trying to, do in their lives, talking about their principles for the month, talking about how they're trying to work on this at home. When you hear kids just saying that naturally, it's like, wow, this is real. This is big.
At first, it was a tremendous change for me. Like, it was like coming from a different school. Like, I had to really learn it. And so, like, from the years that I've been here, like, it just comes naturally for me. Like, my attitude is way different from how it used to be. I'm really, like, eager. My posture is straight. And so, like, a lot of my personality has changed from back then. I was like, and I really appreciate that.
The principles are built for anybody. They just make you better as a person. If you really follow the principles, you will see and others will see, wow, he's really changing. I just like to, like I said, show perseverance and be open-minded. Keep moving forward.
Not only these 26 principles, we have had a class called A Disciplined Life ever since Perspectives was founded. So we have extended our school day in the early years, and still it's longer than most, so that we could have 180 minutes a week of a class called A Disciplined Life. So our kids are given the time and the forum to really grapple with and think about these principles, and then sort of this amazing 6th grade through 12th grade curriculum that we've created around it. Now we have our own intranet with our own lessons, essential questions that guide our lessons based on standards and assessments, and it's really thoughtfully done. So now when you go into any classroom in 6th grade, everyone's kind of learning the same thing.
For our middle school, they have A Disciplined Life every day. So it's a 45-minute class period every single day, with the exception of Fridays, because our students have early dismissal on Fridays if it's earned. So every day they see me. Importance is stressed just like any other core curriculum class, just like, their English language arts class, just like their math class. So they come to ADL and they put forth the same type of work ethic, the same type of discipline as you would expect in any other class in the building.
I said the connections I can make to ADL principles is respecting other people's differences. I said because in most of the articles that we had got, like, it's telling us, like, what families have lost their loved ones. This boy named Elijah Sims, his mom talked about it in the community leaders plan. She had said, like, if we see something in gang violence or at home, she said speak on it. It could be anonymous, but just speak on it, because she said she doesn't want anyone else to get hurt like her son did.
All of our schools, all of our 5 campuses are either level 1 or 1+ on the SQRP score, which we're really proud of. Right now, 95% of our kids, 98% of our kids, somewhere in that range, who are accepted to college, and about 93% who will be going and who went in the fall. We work really, really hard to ensure that every last student, at a minimum, will apply to 5 colleges or universities and apply for 10 scholarships, a minimum of 10 scholarships. So we're up to almost $25 million in scholarships for our kids.
ADL touches everything that we do. So whenever we have discussions and what we call critical conversations, we're looking at everything through the lens of ADL. How can we use ADL to solve this problem? It's not just about looking at a problem and saying, oh, this is it. This is what's going on. Okay, we are leaders. We're building leaders. So we're telling him, what can we do using ADL to solve this problem? What do we need to do? How can ADL principles be applied in this situation or that situation?
Solving conflicts peacefully, and a way we could the way that can help with the community is, like Destiny said, communicate so we can solve the problem peacefully.
Okay, so that's a general thing. Talk to me about, okay, let's communicate effectively. What does that mean? How do we live that out? What do we do?
We can make a flyer. Yeah, make a post showing about what people can do to stop a situation from happening, like from getting too serious.
So what about if you guys brainstorm some solutions where you could use social media in a where it says realistic way, right? Because it can't be corny, it can't be lame, because if it is, then you all will be like, let's go like nobody's one, right? So you have to think about realistic ways that you could get your friends to want to be a part of it for it to go viral, right? It's got to be hot. So what can you do? That's what you need to brainstorm. Talk about it.
Almost 200 minutes a week in teaching our kids to be ethical young leaders, that's powerful. That's so powerful. And the big goal is that we want to spread a disciplined life across the city, the country, the globe, and it can be in its own variations, in its own organic style that people develop their own principles, but that there needs to be in our public school system and in our private school system, there needs to be a focus on social emotional learning, and not just these mini programs or a class here, but truly a strand or a thread or a real fundamental philosophy that guides that model inside that school. And it needs to be led by the leader. It needs to be, bred and developed by teachers, and students need to embody it.
It just gives me something that I just love to do, because I see every day the difference that it makes. Instead of, you don't get a lot of rewards, you don't get a lot of immediate payout and gratification as a teacher, but with ADL you do, because I get an opportunity to see, even within one school year, I can say every year how I see ADL being lived out in my kids' lives. So I just love that about it.
We live in a community that has high unemployment and has a huge amount of foreclosures, a lot of return from incarceration with nothing but bus card and $20 and told to make it, and an absence of economic development in businesses, proliferation of guns, a lot of poverty, all the scenarios that really create the perfect storm for violence. People think that there's just violent communities. No, there's neglected communities where violence becomes an outgrowth of it.
Pastor Pfleger is a dear friend of Perspectives. He's how do I don't have words to describe this man. He is such a force for good.
It's such a privilege to work with Father Pfleger and so many things, also bringing him into our school as well as working with St. Sabina. We're able to build partnerships and not try to be so territorial about, what I think is just a great thing that we have here.
How can community leaders play a role in the solution? Who are our community leaders? Are they doing an effective job? Why or why not?
Okay, so now let's look. What are community leaders doing? What's their role in this situation?
Like Father Pfleger down the street at St. Sabina, he does marches and stuff.
Right. And okay, so how do you guys feel about the fact that everybody's saying Father Pfleger, and then beyond that, it's kind of just cricket? Why is that? Is it that just maybe he's the most notable, or is it that you just feel in your heart that there's no other leadership? Tell me what you think.
What I think is that he is the most known person because a lot of people are not stepping up, and we shouldn't just rely on them to step up. We have to step up ourselves for our community.
Okay, absolutely.
Schools should be anchors in the community, not islands in the community. That's why it's been so important to me about the Perspectives being where they're at 82nd and May because it's in the heart of a neighborhood. So it becomes an anchor in that neighborhood. We're so divided now in different blocks and different factions from block to block in our city. Well, when you put them all together in that school and they become classmates and co-students with each other and work on programs together, now that creates a unity, it becomes a birthing place of unity for the neighborhood. So neighborhood schools are extremely important to communities growing, becoming strong, becoming united, and having a relationship with each other.
Everyone could be a community leader, like anybody. Kids need more role models. They need people to be in their lives. I feel like a lot of youth, when it comes to violence, I think they just need a role model. They need someone to be there for them who going to give them the attention they need.
To me, our community leaders, I believe, is Father Flager because he is doing a lot of things for the youth, and Arvin Gresham, the Inglewood neighborhood, because he does make programs for the kids to do when they're out of school. Because me, I believe personally, he doesn't want any more kids to get shot or get caught up in gang activity.
If we're not consciously creating young people to be peacemakers, we're going to continue to see this violence becoming a norm. And I think that's one of the things that the Perspectives has done, is helping their young people understand this is not a norm. This is unacceptable. So how do we transform it? How do we change it? How do we create young voices that become leaders in changing it?
We knew a culture would emerge, but we wanted to be intentional about what we wanted our school to sound like and feel like and look like, and what we wanted our kids to experience. So we founded principles like demonstrate honesty and integrity, respect the differences in others, be open-minded, be reliable, love self, be grateful, demonstrate perseverance. So these principles became our language, our native tongue. And to this day, now as we've scaled, a disciplined life is what actually attracts families to us, is what attracts great teachers to Perspectives, and it's really what differentiates our graduate.
Following the principles, basically, it starts within, it starts about yourself. And my main principle that I really love is love who you are, because some actions go based off how you view yourself, and some people don't really view themselves as another person might, and they give a reaction, and so it ties in between the two.
If the whole community used the ADL principles that we use here at Perspectives, community, the world would be such a better place. They have a big impact. If you really stick to the principles, like I said, your whole attitude, mindset, everything would change. The principles are here to make everything positive.
When I'm out with my friends, we view people differently, and sometimes we use the ADL principles and say that's an action they might use, and we be like, that's my principle at school, and so it's a lot of different connections, but there aren't the same words.
Nonviolence or peace is not some actions we do. It's a lifestyle of which we live. And when we have a lifestyle of nonviolence, a lifestyle of peacemaking, it becomes the norm and not an action here or an action there. So the whole program of the disciplined life is, in my mind, a tremendous gift.
We have to really believe that we can teach for social emotional learning as educators. We have to really inherently in our spirits believe that, first of all, that teaching for social emotional learning and teaching for justice matters, and then second, that it can be taught, and third, make it a priority.
Seeing the passion, the excitement, the engagement of the young people is life-giving to me, is signs of hope, because you see young people who really are excited and engaged about making a difference. And if we don't give our young people the tools to make a difference, shame on us.
We have to stay enraged at the injustices that our kids are experiencing. And we've got to, as adults, figure out a way to turn things around. I'm so grateful to be a part of this school community and what we're doing, and the philosophy makes so much sense. We really, truly do teach for social emotional learning, and we really do teach and equip our kids with some of those skills and attitudes and thinking and the mindset about being an agent for social justice. And that is critical for our world right now.